What's going on, world? And welcome back to the Pursuit of the Good Life podcast, where we talk about how to enhance your relationships and crush those goals. I'm your host, the Kameron Lovelace, joined as always by the amazing Dr. Sara Lee Benson. Sara, what's going on?
Hey Cam, I am good. Today has been a long day, but I'm here. I'm excited to be back once again. What's going on in your world?
Oh, everything's all good. Quarantined and chill still. I only go out when I need to. So, yeah, so it's really just been here chilling, strategizing, catching up with my dad,
Yeah.
talking to my mom the other day. So, really just checking in on everybody.
Yeah, I'm the same. Like the rest of the world, and I know most people out there have started to go back out. And yeah, I'm just gonna let the people have it. I just feel like now just isn't really the time to really just be going out because people are out here, they're not wearing masks. They just out here living their best life. And I'm like,
did I miss the memo that Memorial Day was the coming out day? This is the weekend that we're gonna rebel and we're gonna just go hard. I know you're on social media fast right now, but let me tell you something. The people were out. The people were out this weekend. Black, white, Mexican, brown, don't matter. We was out and we was at the lake. We was drinking Coronas and beers. Coronavirus, how about this Corona? Let's go. I was like, y'all can have it. I will be right here.
Yeah, I was the same way. I even though I'm not on social media, I was like I had to go to the store because I needed some more soap, a specific type of soap that I have to get, and I had to go like 4 different stores, and none of them had it. But like everybody was just, I just felt like it was just a lot more crowded this weekend.
Absolutely.
And people like, and to this day, this still vexes my heart. I was sitting in my car, and this lady walked out of Dollar General. Her baby only had on a pamper, sitting in the basket. No shirt, no pants, no shoes. She ain't have on no mask. Like the baby just in the basket. I was on the phone with Ken. I was just like, I just feel so bad. And he was like, wow, it's like this lady got her baby in the basket. The baby wasn't sitting on no towel or blanket, like the baby just chilling. And I'm like, it is a virus, ma'am. At least put your baby on some pants.
What virus?
Like
what virus?
like put the clothes. And she just pushing the baby in the basket. They had another little toddler with, I don't even think the toddler had any shoes on. I'm just like, okay, all right. I guess y'all said, don't even worry about it. I was watching a video of this guy out in Alabama at the beach, and he was like, well, the president ain't got no mask on. He not wearing it, so why should I be? And I was like, well, that's kind of a valid point, but you should be worried, sir. Like you should. Like people are like, oh, the president ain't wearing no mask. President not wearing. So why should we be wearing? So we just gonna be outside. Like that's a lot of people's mindset.
The
like,
president also suggested that you put Lysol in your veins to kill the virus. So I'm good on that.
Right. But people really think like that. And I think that's so crazy to me. Like y'all listen to the CDC, please.
Please. Out of everybody.
Please.
Listen to them.
Please. Listen to what they say. Go with their suggestions. Like everybody, I did see online where the president was talking about churches needing to be opened up, and like a bunch of like pastors were coming out saying, well, no, the church is still open. The building is closed.
Correct.
So we still open. We still operate.
We ain't never closed. We ain't never closed.
Right.
But the building, no.
So, and I commend those pastors for making like that decision because, yeah, this virus is still very real. There are new cases every day.
Look,
every day, y'all.
And then I'm hoping that it levels off in the fall, but they saying it might resurge in the fall. So
yeah, in the wintertime too. So I feel like if we do what we need to do now, we can kind of combat some of this in the fall. Now, parents, y'all want y'all children to go back to school. So
now it's funny that you say that because I personally, like I feel that there will be a spike in the month of August, first week of September, because of going back to school.
Yeah, of course.
If these colleges don't switch to online for the fall, then as people travel, one person can infect a whole bunch of people that are going and flying to different colleges. Because I mean, think about it. If you are going to college in the next state and you have to fly,
yeah,
then everybody in the airport could get infected. The mama, the daddy, sister, brother, and that then will just keep spreading all the way back home. And so I personally feel that there will be another resurgence around the August, September, if they don't universally shut down schools. But I don't know, because, so many schools are on the brink of, like they live semester to semester.
Anyway,
So,
yeah. I agree with you. I think that, I don't know if they necessarily have to shut down, but some preventative measures need to be taken. Like, something needs to change. So, and that's within our high schools, elementary schools, and all those things. And especially with the colleges, something's going to have to change. Like, maybe, I don't know, maybe the children got to wear a mask, or maybe they need to set up partitions. I don't know. But the thing about it is, we know kids, they are probably going to be excited to see their friends. They like to share.
They gonna go to the pool parties. They gonna host the pool parties, the cookouts, and the outs.
And a lot of kids are itching to get back, and so we're gonna have to do a lot of preventative measures in the fall to put these kids back in the school, because one, they don't need to be out. I feel like they don't need to be out anymore, because we already just missed like a lot of work. But something has to be done, because there is going to be a spike. Because one thing, schools are cesspools for germs.
Oh, absolutely.
Cesspools for germs. It's just nasty. And so I just feel like we're going to see some jump if nothing's not done.
Right.
We're going to see a jump. I wholeheartedly see a jump. And I don't want to be one of the people in the jump, because I work inside of a school and I have to be there every day. So I'm going to need for y'all to, well, I will say this. The school that I work at, they're very clean. And the maintenance and all those people, they keep that school spick and span and disinfected. And so I don't know what it's going to look like.
Is there food court still open?
Huh?
Is there food court still open? On campus?
At this point, it's probably closed, because they're out for the summer. I don't think the summer session opens up maybe in a few weeks, but it's all online. So U of M is all online. But I found out today that Christian Brothers is starting back August 13th.
Oh, okay. I was about to say.
August 13th. So, but U of M has not released what they're going to do in the fall. I do know that when everything was shutting down, they still had the food court open, and the cafeterias were still open, even though they shut down everything else. I don't know what it's going to look like. It needs to be different, though. I know that much. It needs to be different, so that we can prevent this thing. And people need to get flu shots if you have not gotten a flu shot, because think about flu season.
Well, I'm gonna be honest. I ain't got no flu shot ever in my life.
Really?
I ain't never had the flu. When I get the flu, then I'll go get a flu shot. Until then, ain't no flu shot.
Everybody just take preventative measures, everybody. Yeah, just take preventative measures, because we have not, I don't think we've hit the curve. Have we hit the peak yet of this? Have we peaked?
I don't know. I don't know, because people keep going out. And the curve keep going up, and the numbers keep going up. So I don't know. I'm just, and then trying to talk about they might have another resurgence too, and I'm just like, look.
Yeah, I was keeping up with that. So like, I also was reading an article about some of these countries that completely shut down quickly, and they were talking about how that could have actually mess them up because you need to have some parts of your population need to be exposed at some point. Apparently, some people need to be exposed to kind of, I guess, prevent too much. But now that everybody's not exposed, it could be worse. So I'm just like, well, what are we supposed to do? Like, because I'm staying at home. I'm not going to these restaurants. I'm sanitizing everything. Like, at this point, I got working on 4 masks. So I got variety of masks.
She said, I got
and,
variety. Oh, wow.
I got variety of masks, practicing social distance.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, we still got new cases. Y'all be safe. Just be safe in the world and, don't go out.
If you don't have to.
If you don't have to. If people want to be at restaurants, they want to be at these brunches, they want to be at these parties.
Listen. It is what it is, but the Lovelaces will be at home and at work, and that's it. But nevertheless, stay safe out there, please. If you don't have to go out, don't go out. But let's go ahead and get into the topic for today. We had a great topic last week about adult friendships are hard. Please go check that out. I think it was a great episode. Definitely one for if you are in that millennial, late Gen Z demographic and you're realizing that, you know what, your friends that you grew up with, maybe don't have to be friends no more. But definitely encourage you guys looking at that. Subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. Shameless plug. But today's topic, really want to talk about is really relevant, especially in the midst of this pandemic, is really not letting how you feel affect how you flow. And so basically the premise of that is basically how your feeling affects how productive and how things are going and you still getting things done in your life and with your family and all those types of things. So I'm gonna give you an example. So even though it's the midst of the pandemic, the fall, as we talked about before, is still coming. For the Lovelace household, this fall is especially circled because Sparkle will be applying to PT school and getting in. So let me go ahead and say that in faith now, but she's going to be applying. But in order to properly prepare for that, Sparkle still she wants to raise her GPA up just a little bit higher to make her application a little bit more crisper. Now, what that means is she is currently enrolled in 12 hours.
Wow.
From now until basically the beginning of August. And those and not like a soft 12 hours. We talk in physics, chemistry, and anatomy.
I'm gonna pray for Sparkle.
Please do. But similar people like you, like Sparkle, are experiencing these things where you want to set yourself up for something that is better, or you have something that is on the horizon. But if you let how you feel, how situations are happening right now in the midst of this pandemic, in the midst of things happening at work, you can potentially mess yourself up for the future. And so we have to stay on our P's and Q's. So today I really want to talk to really not necessarily productivity hacks, but give people some things that they can do to kind of recalibrate themselves, because we all fall off the horse. I mean, I'm not saying you have to have 100% perfect days all the time, but we have to learn what is it that we can do to get back on the saddle when we're falling off. So Sarah, with you being an educational psychologist, and this is, particularly relevant for people that are summer school, people still want to apply, go to grad school. Maybe their first semester of grad school might be online. What is it that let's start with you. What is it that you do when you're feeling in a funk and when you're feeling something like off, and maybe you just don't feel like, getting up and like last year for you, writing that dissertation, or when you don't feel like doing this, and then you don't, how do you get back on the horse to like, okay, now it's time to get back in the groove and go?
For me, one of the first things that I do is I evaluate the feeling. And
Mm-hmm.
so by that, I normally have like a checklist where I like kind of ask myself, so okay, why are we feeling like this? What caused this? Did an event happen? Did somebody say something to you? And just try to figure out, pinpoint how I got to the funk place. Because sometimes it could be like little small things or like just constantly happening. And it could be just daily stuff going on. And then you wake up and you realize that you're just in this really low place. Other times it could be like an interaction with somebody, or constant interaction with certain people. And then you just realize, okay, I'm just not motivated like I was before, and so on and so forth. And so definitely check the feeling and check the root of it. And then once you figure that out, for me, I try to counter those thoughts. So if I'm thinking, okay, I'm super tired or I can't do this, I try to remind myself like, no, you can do this. So being that extra push or the extra motivation.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'll go back and I'll read maybe old text messages from people who have just been like encouraging, or I'll reach out to somebody and I'll say, hey, this is what I'm feeling. This is what's happening. Like, can I vent to you? Because sometimes you just need to vent, right? So sometimes you've already kind of figured out, okay, this is why I feel this way. This is what I need to do to fix it. But sometimes you just need to vent, like you need to talk. So either I'll talk to God about it, I'll talk to somebody else about it. But I always try to encourage myself in that process and always try to remember, like, why am I doing this? So what is my motivation, right? Like so for me, thinking about the dissertation process. So there, of course, were days where I just didn't want to write, because I'm working on top of this. So I'm teaching, I'm working, and I'm trying to get this done. And so I would just have to remind myself, hey, write a few pages and you graduate in May, right? So thinking about that May graduation date, or thinking about, okay, you're going to be the first one who do this. So you got to do this. Like, you need to get this done. Like, this is for you. That normally kind of helps me through those hard places. But definitely recognizing where you are. So going through that checklist, figuring out, okay, how did I get here? And then think about what you can do to fix it and just encourage yourself through that process.
Good information. Good information. I think for me, so when I'm feeling in a funk, I have to give myself like a cap. Like,
Yeah.
how long am I gonna stay? Because if I'm a high S, or a chameleon, as we would say, on the DISC assessment in what we do. So I'm the type of person who will feel feelings and like hold it in. So I don't like, if I don't release it, or if I don't do something like that's active, or if I don't talk to nobody, then I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna ruminate on those feelings of unproductibility or sadness or feeling some type of way. So I have to like put a cap on myself, because like you said, once I'm aware of the feeling, or that I am feeling some type of way, or that I am feeling unproductive, or I'm feeling lazy, then I have to put a cap on how long I'm gonna like allow that space to stay.
Yeah.
So I have to I'll say, okay, I'm gonna give myself till 5:00, and I'm gonna just watch YouTube videos. I'm gonna watch something else, or I'm gonna do something this, and then I'm gonna get right back to it. And
Yeah.
that's just, and also, I mean, for us as millennials, I think many people can relate to this. We find ourselves just on social media, just scrolling.
Yeah.
And if I find myself doing that and not productive, look, it gets rough real fast, and a couple minutes turns into a couple hours.
Yeah.
And so I have to consciously like monitor myself. So I guess for me, and what I would challenge other people to do, is that constantly like be aware of yourself. And I know for other people that's harder than others. But you have
Yeah.
to take you have to set the thermostat, no, thermometer. You have to have a constant thermometer of how you feel, and then have a thermostat to have a starting point of where you want to go. So you have to always have a thermostat temperature of what you need to be on, and you got to figure out how to get yourself back to that set temperature where you are the most productive, the most empathetic, the most kind, the most, whatever it is in your particular situation. If you got to always be on, like for me, I got to be on right now for Sparkle. Like I got to be like this empathetic husband who's very supportive, who's going to make sure she's eating enough, make sure she's sleeping enough, but also making sure that she ain't on Facebook getting in that funk and like, say, hey, have you did your homework today?
Yeah.
Have you, your quizzes, your discussion posts, stuff like that. And wait, have you worked out today? Oh, did you eat today?
Yeah.
Okay, make sure you get enough rest. Like I still got to be on right now to make sure that she's still at the temperature that she needs to be able to get the best possible like outcome that she can get. Cause she says she wants the A. So she doesn't want to settle for a B. Well, I say settle for a B because it's all hard sciences, but she wants the A because she wants her application to be in the top tier. And and the thing is, when you look back on seasons like this, you don't want to look back and have regret and say, I could have pushed a little bit harder, or I could have made a slight adjustment. I could have sacrificed this amount of sleep. I could have not went to Cinco de Mayo for quesadillas with my friends, or hung out on the lake Memorial Day weekend, or whatever, just because I wanted to get in a higher position than I am. And let me also like divvy back to, just because everybody else is doing it and because we're tired and we're experiencing cabin fever right now, does not give you an excuse to make not so smart decisions.
That's so true.
So make smart and wise decisions in the midst of how you feel, because it always has to circle back. Every action has a reaction, whether it's a good reaction or a bad reaction. It's going to have an outcome that happens from this decision. And so you don't want to be caught slipping, especially in the midst of a pandemic where you can really contract something that you don't even know and then end up hurting somebody else. I know somebody that went to go celebrate a graduation in another town, come back home, find out their aunt had it. Then they passed it on to their mom, and now their mom's in the hospital in the ICU.
Oh my goodness, that's crazy.
And that person has a daughter and a husband.
Oh wow.
And so you gotta be careful out here. And you like, look, if it's not has to do, I mean, and this is my D kicking in. I understand like we feel how we feel, but at some point you gotta have a business decision and say, look, this ain't what's right. This ain't what's right now. This may hurt. It's not comfortable. I don't like it. But the bottom line is we got to stay safe, or we got to continue moving forward. We got to make things happen. And to do that, we got to continue to make the adjustments despite me feeling in this funk right now.
That's so true. That reminds me of, so the day before my dissertation was due.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody who's ever worked on a dissertation, this is like your life's work. Like, it is you, it's so much. So with it being so much, like this is like literally your last thing you got to do before you
are done with education as we know it.
So the day before it was due, I wasn't feeling well, but I still got up. Like I took a nap. I was on it, right? Mm-hmm. So I had got to this place. It was like 10 o'clock at night. I had got to this place. So I think what happened was I had been just looking at everything for so long that like I started self-doubting myself. Mm-hmm. I started doubting myself. Mm-hmm. And so I just got to this place where I was just like, I don't know if I'm thinking about this, how I need to think about this. Or if they're going to think about this, how I'm thinking about this, and they're going to see what I see in the midst of all of this, right? That sounds crazy. But in that moment, it like really it took me for a loop. Because mind you, I had been working on this. And so I remember I called Ken and I was crying. And I was just so upset because I was just like, mm-hmm. I think I could spend the last, few hours working on something. And I don't know if they're going to see this. I don't know if this is going to work. I don't know if I'm graduating. Like I was going down a rabbit hole. Yep. And I remember he was listening to me. He was like, okay. He was like, well, it's going to be okay. And so I was like, you know what? Okay, whatever. So I get off the phone, went to a convenience store. I got some coffee. It's like 10 o'clock at night. I got some coffee. I got some snacks. And I called him back. I was like, you know what? I said, I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm just gonna keep going. At that point, I was just like, I'm just gonna keep going. I'm just gonna pray. I'm gonna hope for the best.
Mm-hmm.
But in that moment, I felt a lot of fear because I'm really thinking like, okay, I don't know if this is gonna be accepted, but I'm still gonna go. And
Right.
I still went. I still went with it.
Mm-hmm.
Despite feeling like how I felt, it being 10 p.m. and my now fiance probably thinking I lost my mind
Uh-huh.
because I went from like crying on the phone to like I'm gonna be okay. Like we're gonna get this done like in like 10 minutes. And he was just like, okay,
Yeah,
all
you
right.
just needed a moment. You just needed a moment. You need to vent, like you said.
I just needed a moment.
Right. And it's good. And like you said, and it's good for us to have those people that are outside the situation who can help hopefully recalibrate you in the right direction. Like
Yeah.
if you need, look, I'm feeling this type of way, recognize, okay, this person just needs to vent. They don't need no direction. They just want to be heard right now. All right, say
Yeah.
what you got to say. All right, great. Now get back to work.
Yeah.
And sometimes you need those people in your life, and not all of us have a boo, not all of us have a bae who can be there for us.
Yeah.
So you need, like, look, find those people, whether it's your family, whether it's your friends, whoever it is that you trust and that you are comfortable being vulnerable with. Like, have those people that you can call or text and be like, look, bro, this ain't the day. I ain't feeling it. And you need that person to be able to say, look, I know you feeling this type of way. I know that it's hard right now, but it's gonna be okay, and you can do it. Or people who are just gonna bite in your butt saying, shut up, get back to work. I'll be over there in 5 minutes and we'll knock it out together. Ain't no issue. Like, you need those type of people in your life who can help shift and recalibrate you and just get you back on the right path. Because iron sharpens iron. And if you ain't got no people that are sharpening you, then they're just gonna hold you back, or they're not gonna understand. Because if you had called Ken and he had said something insensitive or had said something different, that might have could have threw you all the way off.
He wouldn't be here.
I mean, yeah, he definitely would.
Listen, you gotta understand my frame of mind at that point in my life. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if you wasn't on the support train,
Right. You just have to wait till after May 3rd. What day we graduated? I don't even know.
you if you wasn't on the support train, I don't know. Wasn't gonna be no conversations being had.
Mm-mm-mm.
Because what you're saying is very real and very true for a lot of people. Like when you are on a journey, when you're having to go through something difficult to reach a goal, your mindset plays a big role in it. And if you don't, whoever is around you needs to be supportive of that, because if not, you're gonna have to fight them.
Yep.
You're supposed to be close. You got to fight them and prove to them what you're trying to prove to the world as well. No, you need people that's going to be on by your side. They're going to say, hey, keep going. It's difficult. Keep going. You can do this. Versus, are you sure you want to do this?
Right.
Are you sure you can do this? Imagine somebody saying, are you sure you can do this? And now you start to question yourself. When in reality of it is, it's just something difficult.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean you can't do it. It's just difficult. You're going to have to push through. It may not come as easy as somebody else, but it can be done. And we have to check the people who are around us, because a lot of people only view our situations from what they can do and not what you can do. And so only you know what you are capable of doing.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you do need an extra push. Sometimes you do need somebody to say, hey, you can do this, or, you know what, let's take a break and come back to it. Versus people questioning you. Now you got to fight them people plus fight the world. No, that's just too much.
Mm-hmm.
No, you need people that's going to be supportive until you get done. And then you can get the fair weather people back. And then they can celebrate with you. Even though they didn't know if you was gonna do it, but they gonna be there to kick it. They gonna be there to party. Bring new people on them, and you know what? Them be the real fun people, right? Them be the main people at the party, kicking it. Like
Shots fired. Shots fired.
No, I'm just saying.
Shots are fired.
Oh, ain't no. This is truth. This is no shots fired.
Okay, it is. This is in fact the gospel truth. But people listen. Like when Sarah was going through it last year, or the year and a half now, we're going on
It's been a year.
It's been a year. But when Sarah was going through it, when she was like, "Oh yeah, everything good," and you know what I asked her? I said, "How many pages you wrote?
Yep.
How far are we till we go?" Because you said you the one told me. And here's the thing, people: when you tell people like this is your standard, you can't get upset when they remind you of what you said.
That's so true.
Because you're the one said that you want to reach this benchmark. You the one said you want to lose this weight. You the one said you want to get a dissertation. You the one said you want to make this money. You the one said you want to get married. You the one said that you want to do all these great things to this person. And so when this person comes and holds you accountable, you can't get set. All you got to do, you need to recalculate and recalibrate and say, I'm far off from my goal. And so when I came to Sarah and I said, look, Sarah, how far are we on this? How many pages you write? Did you write 5 pages this week? Because I know that dissertation needs to be lengthy. And that's not something you can just sit down and knock out, or else you're going to have a brain dead or whatever it is. I can't even imagine. That's why I ain't doing it. But I can still encourage Sarah and say, hey, how many pages? And I didn't necessarily come at her sideways. I just asked, hey, how many pages you at? How many pages you written?
And then you and Sparkle, like, one thing I can say about you and Sparkle, you guys were so good and just so, like, encouraging this time last year. Like, y'all randomly, like, hey, you write today? You know, how many pages you got? And it was never nothing that was, like, condescending or judgmental. It was simply like, hey, you do. And I appreciate it, because those were just reminders that I needed to get off my phone and do my work. Because most times y'all text me, I was probably
on social media.
Social media. And so it was just like, you know what? Maybe I should write. Maybe I should, you know.
Hey, let me write a page real quick. Let me knock out.
Right. Let me knock this out. So, but it was good to have y'all in my corner, though. Like, it was good to have people like that in your corner who know what your goals are, who really genuinely, truly want to see you reach your goals. Because there are some people you're going to tell your goals to, and they're going to discount you because they can't do it. Right. And they, every time you come for encouragement, they questioning you.
They come with critiques. They come with critiques.
They come with critiques. And there's and I don't want you guys to say, I don't want you guys to take from this that there's something wrong with critiquing or having comments, which is not, but it has to come from a genuine place. And it has to come from a place, it has to come from a genuine place. And it needs to come from somebody who knows where you're going or who's been there. And who can understand the process. Because sometimes people will critique and they don't know, they really don't know
right
what they're critiquing. And it can come off insensitive, and it can come off, it can be a lot more than what it should be.
Right.
And so it's good to have people who know where you're going. It's also good to have people who are just encouragers. They may not, so like, example, my fiance, he does not have a PhD, but he understands processes. So he understands processes. He understands going through difficult things. Like, he understands that piece of it. And so when I was going through something, even as like my friend, like going through something, he was able to be encouraging. He may not always understood my tears or understood the late hours, but he understood that this was something that I wanted to do.
Right.
Because he understood that, he was a great encouragement there. There are some people who can't do that. They just can't do it. And so you just have to have some good people in your corner helping you along this way, because you will get down. It's impossible just to be happy-go-lucky during something challenging. If you are happy-go-lucky during all your challenges, tell me what your secret is, because I think it's the human in me. It's just like, I'm just tired, and I don't feel it. You know, like, you do get to a place of like, you just don't want to be there. You don't want to do it. And that's why you have to encourage yourself and have people encouraging people around you to help you get out of that place.
I agree, but I want to say the flip side of this is that you can't always depend on other people to encourage you and be there for you. Sometimes you just gonna have to go in your prayer closet and depend on yourself, just you and God. And sometimes you're gonna go in the prayer closet and say, God's gonna say, "What are you doing?" Like, God's gonna look at you crazy, like, what's the problem here? Get up, get to work. You the one said you want this. You the one said you want to. Like, sometimes you have to motivate yourself and just stop talking. Sometimes you just have to stop talking and get to work and get to doing the hard work and stop running away from it. Because a lot of us have, low confrontation skills, and we don't want to confront people, but oftentimes we don't want to confront the problem or confront the issue or the challenge or whatever that we're facing. And that causes us to, have paralysis by analysis. We're too busy sitting here looking at the problem. We're too busy like looking at everything that we got to do. It's like, oh, well, I got to call this person. Oh, well, I got to do this. Oh, well, I got to do this. Oh, well, I got to sit on the phone for 20 minutes on hold to talk to somebody about my financial aid or talk about my registration or talk about this problem or this problem. And I just don't want to sit on the phone for 30 minutes or whatever, when sometimes you just going to have to dig through it and dig in and get through it. So if you listen to this podcast, hopefully this is some encouragement to you if you're going through a tough time that's saying, look, get to work.
Yeah.
Sometimes here's your iron that's sharpening your iron. Get to work.
You can do it. You can do whatever it is that you are wanting to do. It's possible to be done. Even though everybody else before you may have failed, you can still get it done.
Right.
You can still go and be that person or be that one that makes it happen.
Right. Now, let me also add this little tangible piece for those of y'all who, this is good, but what tangibly can I do? Stuff like that. Look, get a schedule.
Yeah.
Like some people are really productive with schedules. And I've found that when I have limits to my schedule, I find myself more productive. Like, for example, let's say I want to work on my website from 12 to 3, then I'm going to take a break. And I'm going to either get lunch, I'm going to work out, I'm going to scroll on whatever for 30 minutes, and then I'm going to get back and I'm going to switch to something else.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to do a cap at 6 o'clock, then I'm just going to rest. Like, have like a set schedule that you can, and if you want to, you can hold people account. You can have people to hold you accountable and text you and be like, hey, just checking. I saw you on Instagram 15 minutes ago. Just wanted to make sure and see how this was going and stuff like that. So you got to have if you can implement a schedule from the time you wake up to the time that you need to get your work done and get your activity done. So, I mean, whatever that looks like, apply this to what your thing is. If that means you got to spend, this time on this day meal prepping. So that means you got to go to the store between this time and this time, punch in, punch out, get your work done from your work at home station, do this, and then rest. And then the next day, have a different schedule. Sometimes having that accountable schedule can keep you in the flow of things, just like, because there is just something satisfying about seeing things checked off on a list. Like having a list and just having it crossed off, like, oh, wow, look at everything that I've gotten done. What else can I do? That's how my mind works. Some people say that and say, oh, yes, one thing, I'm done. All right, cool. I've done a lot today. I've done enough. But I highly, highly, highly recommend like some type of schedule routine, especially if you got a lot of free time and you need to work on a project, or you need to record some content, or whatever your situation is that you need to do. I highly recommend implementing a schedule.
Yeah, I agree. One of the things that helps me. So if you're somebody who's always busy, I have to write things down. So I do a to-do list by a week. And so I take my week, I do each day, and I write down what can be done within that day. Mm-hmm. And for me, that helps me with like not feeling so anxious about what has to get done, especially if I know I have like multiple. So I can give y'all an example. Like 2 weeks ago, we had to have like individual meetings with our success coaches on top of my regular meetings, on top of everything else. And so to keep me from not being so all over the place, I did like daily schedules. So like I had my week. So I was like, Monday, I have this from this time. This is what I got to get done. This is what I got to get done. And I put specific things on specific days. So I knew that, okay, that's when I'm going to focus on that thing. And it just kind of breaks things into like chewable pieces. Mm-hmm. And then I know at the end of the day, I will feel accomplished. So as I mark something off, I felt that sense of accomplishment. Okay, I got this done. I got this done. I got this done. And before I knew it, everything got done. That's really how I managed to make it through teaching, working, and in school.
Mm-hmm.
Making to-do lists, like having a list of what needs to be done, having my calendar. Literally every semester, one of my friends, Kalisha, absolutely love her. She would always ask me at the end of the semester, how do you do it? Like, how do you do it? When do you sleep? When do you rest? And I'm like, oh, I did do all this. Like looking at my old calendars, I'm like, girl, how did you do that? Because now since I've been out of school, I wish I wouldn't be able to make living life how I used to live.
Mm.
Oh, listen, at one point I was youth director. I was doing community life. I was working for Peer Power. I was teaching and working on my proposal. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's a lot, but having a schedule,
Mm-hmm.
having a calendar makes life much more manageable.
Right. So let me emphasize, because I just heard Sarah say it, and I remember a lack of things, which is why which is why she is where she's at today. Make sure that you schedule time for yourself in the midst of all that. So make sure you schedule some you time, some leisure time, some time for you to get counseling, like whatever you can do to like uplift yourself or give you some time to reset. Because if you are burning the midnight oil 100% of the time, then eventually you can only burn a car on E for so long before it stops. Forcibly,
And we'll break down.
it will break down. So yeah, make sure that you schedule on time for yourself as
self-care every day.
right. So yeah, I think we covered quite a bit. I think we said focus. Hold on. Let's recap. We want to make sure that people are in your corner that can help you reset, recalibrate. We said make sure you set a schedule. Let me also throw in do something like that's physically different, because sometimes we need to like get out, and now I know this is kind of hard now, but go out and get some sun, go for a walk down the street, go for a walk down the street, not necessarily to the park. If your park is isolated, then maybe, but like do something physically different, because it's something about like the physical changes in our body that can, allow us to reset or have more energy. Sunlight, vitamin D is very, very essential to how our body processes. We weren't meant to be without sun for extended amount of time. So if you need to go do something, like go do a workout, go, have a ice cream or something. Do something that physically, not too much, but make sure that you got something that will physically like change you, like something,
Yeah, yoga has been my best friend. This
Mm-hmm.
quarantine, I started doing my yoga in the morning or at night, and I just realized something. I haven't done it I have not done it this week, and I feel it. Like I feel it. I feel it in my body physically, and it just coming to myself. So I'm gonna have to do some yoga tonight.
Yeah, go on and take care of that.
Huh?
Yeah, go on and take care of that.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do me some yoga. But because for me, I think it's just like the movement, and like I also practice my breathing, which I don't think people recognize that like your breathing and the way that you breathe can affect so much in your body, like the way that you're sitting and things like that. And so once I figured all of that out, I started like my mindfulness app. I'll have these pauses that'll just tell you to breathe. Because I don't think we recognize like how much we like just hold it in up here.
Mm-hmm.
But doing all these things allows for that free flow. So yeah, I got to get on my yoga ASAP.
Right.
But doing something physical definitely helps. It releases endorphins, and endorphins make you happy. I was about to say a quote.
Feel good.
I was going to say a quote from my Legally Blonde people, but I don't think everybody would get it.
I missed it. But
Legally Blonde.
I don't think I've sat down and just watched it all the way through.
So there's this scene where they have to represent this lady who's a fitness instructor.
Okay.
And so Elle goes, well, I don't think she killed her husband because she teaches workouts, and working out releases endorphins, and endorphins make you happy. And happy people don't kill their husbands. And I thought it was funny. So because we were talking about endorphins.
Right.
Or endorphins make you happy.
I mean, in logic, that kind of makes sense, unless, somebody interrupts that happiness, then you got to get them out the way. But
that's true. That is true. But go release endorphins, people.
Yeah, go. Take care of yourself so that you can continue to flow. Because if you ain't flowing, then some things ain't happening. Because when you are not like on your top of your game, which you don't have to be at the tip top of your game 100% of the time, but when you're not on top of your game, on top of your task, then stuff starts falling through the cracks. I mean, me and Sarah were talking offline about some things happening that people ain't getting their stuff together because they falling out. Just because you are at home all day, every day, doesn't mean that there's not an excuse for you to keep going and for you to still get things done. And that can trickle over into your relationships, that can trickle over to your friendships, that can trickle over to just so many different things. So you got to make sure that you're still flowing with how you go.
That's so true. That's so true.
But I'm not going to continue to beat a dead horse. Sarah, you got any closing remarks?
Just be safe out there, people. If you are currently in a low place or in the fog, know that it will and can change, and that you are not alone in this. What you're feeling is normal. You just can't stay there. So we need to give yourself time to feel it, and then we gotta move. We gotta move from that place. So
I agree. Don't let yourself just ruminate and stay in that place forever. If you sad about a breakup, if you sad about, some man or some woman, then chances are Adele is not your best friend right now.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Her music is not the type of person that you need to get out of the funk. That's who you go to when you want to stay in the funk. I'm just being honest.
No, don't do that. Don't set yourself up.
Exactly. Let me also make a preview announcement that we will be launching the Good Life community, where you can get in contact and in a community full of people who are trying to do something positive with their life and in their relationships. We'll be launching that very soon, tentatively in June, but we'll see. Still working some things out on my end to make sure that we're ready to launch when we can do that. So if you're looking to join a community with people who are with like-minded individuals who are trying to do something progressive and great with life, highly recommend joining our Good Life community, where we will have bi-weekly meetings, virtually, of course, where we just talk, and we'll have life and we'll have topics, and we'll encourage each other to live that good life. But until next time, go give us a 5-star on iTunes, subscribe so you don't miss a single episode, like us on all these streaming platforms, and share it with a friend. Coming back to you each and every single Thursday. Until then, we'll see you next week.
Bye.